We're starting Be'ezer Hashem, the 27th Shir in Sugyas and Vayol Moshe, and we're learning a Sefer Pokeach Ivrim, and we're up to Dugma Daled, page Yud Aleph in the Sefer. So he's quoting different selections from...
This is the Belzer?
It's someone from the Belzer Chassidus, yeah. And he's quoting Vayol Moshe, and then he's going to make fun of it. And we're going to see what he says, and then we're going to see Vayol Moshe Mir Hashem inside and see what he actually says. Okay, B'Vayol Moshe HaMezuyef, he calls it Mezuyef, Amud Shin Nun Gimel, and this is in Maimer Yishuv Eretz Yisrael.
Mezuyef is like...
forged.
Ah.
Yeah, he claims that the whole Vayol Moshe is forged. It's just a trick for a way of talking. We discussed already. Anyway, Yoitze b'shetzef ketzef neged sif b'harozas go'oinei b'tzadikei hador b'knesi hagdoila herviis. He says there was the Aguda, it has the Knesi Hagdoila every once in a while. Mm-hmm. Like they had the fourth Knesi Hagdoila he's referring to here is in 1954. The first convention that took place after Hakamas Medina. There was 1923. Aguda was founded in 1912 in Katowice. Mm-hmm. And then 1923, after the First World War, was the first time they were able to get together for a World Knesi Gedola in Vienna. Then 1929, I think, again in Vienna. And then in 1937 was the famous Marienbad Knessia, where they discussed partition plan, yeah.
That's when the Chunbram Wasserman had...
That's when he was against... There was a whole machlokes in the Gedolim whether to agree to the partition plan. That's when that happened. And then came the Holocaust, and then Hakamas Medina, and then 1950... And during all that time, by the way, Katowice had Hey Be'ir, tzvi weinman writes that the activists of the Aguda made all the decisions themselves. The Moetzes hadn't even met yet during the 1948 period, and then finally, after the Medina, the first Knessia was in 1954, and it was held in Eretz Yisrael. So at this Knessia, there was a announcement made that all Jews should go to Eretz Yisrael, and the Satmar Rebbe was against that. So let's read it inside. He says, Sham Muva Kach Koisev. According to the Satmar Rebbe's version, he writes, Shehem Poinim Al Kol HaYehudim B'chol Tfutzos Yisrael. That they turned to all the Jews in the entire diaspora, to come and live in Eretz Yisrael. And he pours out his anger against this. This invitation to Jews to come to Eretz Yisrael is against Hashem's gzeira that there's supposed to be a galus until Mashiach comes. The Gam, and the second taina was ma'aviri moisam me'adas, that the Zionists are going to take these immigrants and they're going to try to force them to abandon Yiddishkeit. Ad kan toichin divrei Vayol Moshe HaMezuyef. So he says on this, Shuv ta'u ha'mezayfim b'kiflaim, that the people who wrote Vayol Moshe in the name of the Rebbe made two mistakes. Ki milvad shekol tinok v'tinoikis mevinim shemoetzes gedoyle Torah poiner rak v'charedim hanishmoim l'divreim. So he ties very stark. He says, who's going to listen to Aguda? Only from Jews, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you mean he's calling for all the Jews in the world to come there as well? Not all the Jews. Let's say there's 5 million Jews in America. And how many of them were from in 1954? Probably not more than 100,000, right? Mm-hmm. So those are the ones that Aguda is talking to. They're not talking to the other 5 million people. And as far as the other taina that the Rebbe had, that they're going to make them go off the derech there, he says no. There's no problem of them going off because they're charedim. They're Agudists. Right? They're connected to the Torah. They're connected to the leaders of the Aguda. And you're going to tell me the Zionists are out there schmatting up people left and right from Morocco and from Yemen and from everywhere else. So he says, yeah, it's true. Unfortunately, it's true, but it's not nogea to what the Aguda said, because that's happening anyway. That's not happening to the Agudists who are coming at the behest of the Moetzes. Okay? He says, besides that, the whole concept of going against Gzeir Zegalus is not right. He says, They built like a new religion for themselves. They created a new Isser. They said as if it's usher to come to Eretz Yisrael during the Churban. Basically, he's accusing the Rebbe of saying that during this time in history, after the Churban Beis HaMikdash, it's not allowed to come to Eretz Yisrael. He's accusing the Rebbe of saying that, and we'll see soon that he didn't say that at all. Okay, the Rebbe completely ignores all the poskim who hold, like the Ramban, that there's a mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael. Gam bizman hagolus, ulechol echad v'echad, every single Jew. K'shemekayim hamitzvah statulis ba'aretz v'ein tzakanas drachim. So he sticks in parentheses that I'm not going against the Tosfos and Ksubas Daf Kuf Yud. Tosfos brings down Reb Chaim Cohen, who said that today we don't have a mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael because it's too hard to keep the mitzvahs of the land, and also because it's dangerous to come to Eretz Yisrael, dangerous to travel. So he says in the Chanami, I'm not coming against that Reb Chaim Cohen. It's fine. If you don't want to keep the mitzvahs, don't come. And if there's danger on the way, don't come. But as long as those two things are not present, everyone should come. V'rak lavoy yachad biyad chazaka nesar. The shvua is only to come as a wall, to come together as a strong hand, like all part of one movement. But not, below zulas, not to come singly, individually. Kemavur b'gemar ksubas kufidal Rashi v'shar poiskim v'ayim v'shal shuvas avnei nezer yoradea tafnun vav mashakasa b'zeh. He also writes about this distinction between the yachid and the rabbim and Ayin Sham. Okay. Gam hoichichu burus mufleges be'inyan shal gzeres agalus. They also showed that they are ignorant about the gzeres agalus. Why? Shahar mefurish b'medrash rabbah shafilu rak echad mi'Yisrael goyla la-barbaria v'echad l'samatria doime kamish galisem kulchem. There's a famous medrash Shir Shirim base by the pasuk that says kol doidi hinei zebah. When Melech HaMashiach will come, he's the Kol Doidi, he's the voice of the beloved of Klal Yisrael. When he comes, he's going to say to the Jewish people, Higiz man gulastam, it's time for the gula, everybody come, right? And they're all going to answer him, and they're going to say, Melech HaMashiach, we can't come, because the Gzeres HaGalus wasn't fulfilled yet. We didn't live in every country in the world yet. We have to be all over the world. So Mashiach's going to answer, one Jew living in each country is enough. You don't have to have the whole Jewish people going to every country. Okay? And by the way, the other teretz that he doesn't bring is that Mashiach is going to say it's enough that you can live in one country like America, but you could have a black president and a white president and an Irish president and whatever, and by that you'll have all the nations ruling over you, or governor or mayor, or whatever you want to call it. So comes out you can be Mekayim the Gzeres HaGalus just by sitting in one country, as long as you have leaders from different countries. Okay, Aval Yishuv Eretz Yisrael b'vadai.
Is that a Jewish president is no good or what?
I don't know. I'm not getting into that now. I don't know what the Rebbe would hold about a Jewish president. But the point is that Klal Yisrael has to be subject to the nations. So having a leader above you that's from a different nation is fine, as long as you Mekayim the Shivim Umois. Okay, I don't know if anybody's keeping track of which leaders Jews have lived under, but anyway, Aval Yishuv Eretz Yisrael b'vadai. So he's saying, l'choira, you see from this medrash an amazing thing. You see, it's enough that one Yid could live in every country, and then you'll have all the rest of Yidden living in Eretz Yisrael. So what are you hacking me about Gzeres HaGalus, that the Aguda is so terrible for calling all the Jews to come to Eretz Yisrael because they all have to be in Chutz La'aretz? No, one has to be. One Jew in America, one Jew in Canada, one Jew in Mexico, and so on and so on. And you're Mekayim Gzeres HaGalus with that. That's his kasha. Okay? Aval Yishuv Eretz Yisrael b'vadai mitzvah l'chol echad Yisrael v'frat bismaneinu sheyesh laharbo yisach charedim b'Eretz Yisrael. We should have taka more charedim. Adrabah, more charedim should come. U'ma'at min ha'or doicha harba min ha'choshech. That it's the more Jews you have in Eretz Yisrael, the more from Jews you'll be more mashpia on the Medina to become from her.
That's what chavos alavavos, right?
That's what? That saying hor doicha harba. Yeah, I don't know where it comes from. You're saying it's chavos alavavos?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, you see them when we go to protest rallies, even though we're small number.
Yeah. והרי לפנינו שוב דוגמה של ניסיון שפל ונבזה של תעמולס הסנקלוס לגדול לדור. He says this whole Vayel Moshe is forged and it was written in order to make the Satmar Rebbe look bad. והכל על גבו של האדמו"ר מסטמר שליטה זצ"ל כאילו היה חס ושלום בעל שאיפות פוליטיות כאחד הריקים שבהם. As if he was like a political person who wanted everyone to just stay in Chutz La'aretz for political reasons. All right.
So he's a murder, he's a big seller, he just says he didn't write.
Yeah, that's what throughout this sefer, that's what he does.
Yoel Khan is also somewhat similar like that, he didn't mean it.
Right, he says certain things that the Rebbe didn't mean, that everyone thinks he meant. All right, so now let's go to the real Vayel Moshe and see what he says. So turn to, he says page Shin Nun Gimel. Let's look it up. It's in Kuf Mem. Simon Kuf Mem. Ubahachrazis haknesi hagdol arvis shalo Aguda. She's chaim be'eretz Yisrael. Sham kostuv lemor. It's written in the announcement of the Aguda. V'nidfas b'chol michtevei oitim. It's printed in all the newspapers. Asher knesi hagdola poina al kol ha'Yehudim b'chol tvutzos Yisrael. They're calling upon the Jews in the whole world to come to the Holy Land, because this is the palace of the king. And as the Rebbe is going to say later, because it's the palace of the king, you don't want to have just anybody coming. You have to be of a high madrega to come. The Tamani, he says, I'm shocked at what they write. How could their pen write such words? The milvad shekvar nisbar shadiburim hoel beatzmam sheyehudim mikol tfutz Yisrael yisashu beretz Yisrael heim divrei minus vapikarsis. We already said that to say that all the Jews in the world should live in Eretz Yisrael is against the Torah. Shehu neged gzeir segalos, because the Torah has the gzeira. Hashem said gzeira that people should be the Jewish people should be in galus. Mi'akadosh Baruch Hu ad zman Aguda shemavur b'kroi. It's written in Psukim, Uvadivrei Chazal, B'chama Mekoimus. It's written in the Psukim that it says, V'zei risim bo aratzois, Yechezkel, and it says that L'arba kanfois hashemayim, L'arba ruchos hashemayim pirasti eschem, and it says a lot of Psukim about the Gzeres Egalos, V'esa yadi bohem hafitzam ba'aratzois. And also you have Midrashim, the Midrashim about Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu was given a vision about Galus and Gehenna, and he was supposed to choose that his children should go to Galus instead of Gehenna. And also Chazal say in the Medrash that he said, I'm mashkin them, I'm putting them in Galus, ani parkon, I'm taking them out of Galus. So it's a gzeira from Hashem that the Yidden should be in Galus. It's just an accident. This actually keeps the world going. And it saves the Jewish people from destruction. The Gemara in Pesachim says that the Goyim all want to destroy Klal Yisrael, but they can't because we're spread out around the world. Mm-hmm. And in Parshas Vayishlach it says Im Yavoi Esav comes to the first camp and he kills it. So it's all over the place, this Indian, that there's such a thing as Galus, and Galus saves the Jewish people.
Yeah, you're right that.
Yeah, and the Ramban in Parshas Kisava, a famous Ramban on the Torah, says that all the klalos of Kisava are only until they go to Galus. Once they go to Galus, then all these other klalos about the land not producing and not having food and children going into captivity, all those things don't apply anymore. They all only apply as long as they're in Eretz Yisrael. So being in Chutz La'aretz actually saves Klal Yisrael.
Yeah, if all Jews go to Eretz Yisrael,
if all Jews go to Eretz Yisrael, then we're in trouble.
Yeah.
And it saves us from destruction. And it also saves us from Gehenna, like I was saying before, the Medrash with Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu was asked to choose between Gehenna and Galus, and Hashem told him, I advise you to choose Galus. Galus is bad, but it's not as bad as Gehenna. Many other reasons, reasons al pi Kabbalah, reasons lahoisiv gerim, all kinds of reasons. And to say that all the Jews should go to Eretz Yisrael, that's what the Apikosim say. She'enim ma'aminim b'mashim v'vur b'kroi, u'v'chol divrei chazal, she'agaz v'agulu h'yalakos baruch hu. They believe that it's an accident. They believe that whatever, the Romans kicked us out, so now we can come back in. But we believe that it's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so we can't just go back whenever we feel like it. Yeah. And he's married here about the Indian. Let's see more. But I want to stop for a second and just see what we're going to answer. The pokeach even said a good time. He said Aguda is not talking to fried Jews, right? It's only talking to the frum people that listen to it. So what's the rebbe saying that everyone's going to come? Even if everyone listens to the Aguda, who's the everyone that's going to listen? Only the frum Jews are going to listen. So how do you have a bittul of the Gzeres Galus just when frum Jews come to Eretz Yisrael? That's the kasha that we're going to have to answer. It seems what we have to say is that the Rebbe held that it's only the frum Jews that count. When we talk about who's in Galus and who's in Eretz Yisrael, it sounds like he's holding only the frum Jews are going to count.
Come.
What?
Only frum Jews are going to come.
They're going to count.
Meaning
if they come, then that's bad. That's like all of Klal Yisrael's in Eretz Yisrael. Even if there's 5 million fried Jews in America who don't keep anything, that's not going to be considered Klal Yisrael's in Galus. They're not Klal Yisrael. They're not the ones who we're counting here. That's what it would seem. Okay. Now look at the next paragraph. Gam ha'ech kosvu stam kriya gluya v'chol tfutzes Yisrael. How could the Aguda have written such words, such open words to the entire diaspora? Shakol yavoy l'Eretz Yisrael b'li shum t'nai v'hefesh ben gavra v'gavra. Every single Jew should come to Eretz Yisrael without any distinctions. Haloi ach shoymrei Torah mitzvahs mutarim lavoy l'Eretz Yisrael. He says no, only people who keep the Torah are allowed to come to Eretz Yisrael. So here it sounds like he understood the Aguda to mean that everyone should come, even not shoymrei Torah mitzvahs, and he's mad at that. So it does sound like he's saying that. But on the other hand, they're making a good point in pokeach ivrim that no one except the frum Jews are going to listen to them. So I don't know what he held. It's a little unclear. Anyway, kvar kosfu akeda ve'alshich ala kosti ve'aretz ezkor she'ach zeh haya sibas agalus shloi haya efsharis levater elbon haaretz. All the other things that Kodesh Baruch Hu was able to be moichel them for, but not the insult to the Holy Land that came when they didn't keep Shemitah and other mitzvahs hatulis baretz. Abo aveir shenasu baretz. V'imkein b'havas bali aveir Eretz Yisrael. Now that the Aguda is going to bring other people who are bali aveir to Eretz Yisrael, me'akvin es ha'geula chas v'shalom. They're going to prevent the Geula. Gam hacharedim ve'ashla kadosh shabau lahaflig b'mitzvahs yishuv haaretz. Even these two achronim who said that we should, or the charedim is really a rishon, he said that you should come to Eretz Yisrael. Lo kosfu shemikol ha'olam yashvu b'Eretz Yisrael. They don't say that everybody should come. Shezehu neged ritzayin aboyrei baruch hu k'nizkar le'el. That's against Hashem. El kosfu lahaflig b'malas hazoiche. They only mean those individuals who have a zchus that they did come and la'avoid Hashem yisbarach b'Eretz Yisrael, and they served Hashem in Eretz Yisrael. Ulaharbois hatashuka b'libois b'nei Yisrael Eretz Yisrael. They increased the desire of Jews to come to Eretz Yisrael. V'haya az roiv Yisrael ksherim. And at that time, at the Shlach Kadosh, everyone was still good. There weren't any non-religious movements. Kamash kosav apnei Yeshua shar poiskim. Gam lo haya az oisa yetzer hara shal tumas atzionis. And they didn't have Zionism in the times of the Shlach. The Harbois Kali Adas Eretz Yisrael, that Eretz Yisrael should be full of non-religious people. And even then, the Shlah and the Charedim write this condition: only people who are true fearing of Hashem should live in Eretz Yisrael. The Kali Adas, Mashenkin, those people who are not religious, not fearing Hashem, they will be kicked out of the land. Okay? Let me just look ahead. Take a look at the paragraph starting Ve'ho'achron hichbid. Turn the page. This is really a third taina. So the first taina was Gzeres Galus. Second taina, you're calling on non-firm Jews to come. And the third taina is ha'achron hichbid sha'aloi ha'kol yodim sherubei revavos nafshos tehoros nisrafu b'moikad atzionis al yidei taina zu sha'hakol tzrichim lavei l'Eretz Yisrael. We know the history that because of this taina of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, look how many people went off and became shmad through Zionism. But you
mentioned in your book, I think, if you put too much emphasis on a certain mitzvah or something.
Well, yeah, you can't have a movement that only cares about one mitzvah. That's not called Yiddishkeit. But not only that, but here, because they stressed this mitzvah, a lot of people fell into their hands. Because the Zionists had the control, and they had the money, and they had everything, they were able to influence people with this. Okay? There's many Jews that if they had not come with the Zionists, L'Eretz Yisrael, they would have stayed from. These poor immigrants don't know the difference. They don't know what to do. They don't know what else to do with themselves. They just listen. Oh, Eretz Yisrael. A lot of people after the war in the DP camps, a lot of them actually wanted to go to America, but the Zionists made propaganda they wanted to go. But there were a lot of them that wanted to go. The fact is, there were a lot. Yeah, that's what the Zionists pushed on the UN at the time. First the British and then the UN to open up the gates. They were at Yisrael. They said, look at all these people who survived the Holocaust and they're all in camps. They haven't nowhere to go. Let them in.
I got a book in the shadows. And did you finish reading it?
No. I'm up to the part about staying will, international territorialism. But yeah. So what does it say? So these people who are who need a place to go, they do say they want to go there to Israel. Some of them, but that's only because they don't know any better. They don't know that the Zionists are waiting for them with absorption camps to make them fry. They fall into the network of heresy. Yeah, like the Rebbe wasn't even writing at that time. He's writing in 1960 here, but 10 years later, 15 years later, the Russian Jews came to Eretz Yisrael. This is what happened to them too. They thought, after all these years under the communism, not being able to keep anything, all of a sudden they're going to go to Eretz Yisrael, they're going to be a Jew. And what happened? No, the Zionists said, we're going to settle you in non-firm places, make sure that you become secular like us. So, didn't you write some of the Russian Jews who were moist in efforts to be firm under communism when I went to... Yeah, it's true.
And especially the Bukharian Jews also.
Bukharians, yeah. They were pretty much from in their own home country, yeah. These Agudists are showing the religious Jews who don't believe in the Zionists, they don't want to listen to the Zionists. They're saying, no, we're not the Zionists, we're the Aguda, and we're also saying the same thing. Shezeh psak bar, it's our psak too. All the Gedolim are here at this Knesset, and we're all saying to go there to Yisrael. When he says, how could they have not mentioned Al Kopanim Beremes? At least they should have put in a couple words to say Shaloi Leilech Ella Im Yesh Lo Al Kopanim Dir Beina Yireim, that don't go there to Israel unless you have a place to live among religious Jews. Don't go under the Zionist absorption ministry and fall into their power. Okay. And let's just skip to the end quickly. Look at V'yodea Ani, last paragraph of the Simon. Yodea Ani shahaya b'soich oisa k'nesia gam rabbanim tamdi chachamim v'yirei Hashem shekoyev lohem inyan zeh. He says, I know that among the Aguda there are rabbanim who are good rabbanim, good people who fear Hashem, and they are bothered by this writing, this thing that the Aguda put out, right? Gam yesh me'arabbanim shahayu shama v'oimrim al zeh shehu minas. There are Rabbanim who actually went to the Knesset and they came back and said, yes, we agree with you, Satmar Rebbe. We agree that this is heresy. But these Rabbanim who were at the Aguda could not do anything. They don't have the power. Kechomer biyad hayoytzer, that the power of Aguda lies in the hands of the lay leaders who write all this stuff and they make the decisions. Ukvar hevesi b'maimer shal shvu estimin kuf mem gimel michtavay shal agayin Reb Chaim ozer mivilna. Zichron levracha shekasta v'zel l'shaynai v'ho ikar kasha lomadati mipi anisayin. That when they were discussing whether to make an organization, I think the Chazon Ish was discussing with the Chaim Ozer about making some kind of organization. Chaim Ozer said, it's not worth it, because I've learned from experience, Medina Seinu, in our country, Hamaruba be'oichlaisi Yisrael, v'rabbanim gedolim lireim. Here in Lithuania, we have plenty of good Jews, plenty of rabbanim. Shekol ha'pu'ulos ba'agudas rabbanim na'aseh.
The means populations, like people?
Yeah, large numbers. Yeah, large numbers. That even though you have all the rabbanim standing behind the organization and signing their names, but actually who's doing the work? Only a maskir, a secretary, or a pokeach, or some kind of an employee. They don't actually take into account the opinion of the rabbanim. Many times they actually act against them, against their influence. They do whatever they want. You and Sham. So therefore Chaim Ozer was against founding some kind of a worldwide organization. Although Chaim Ozer was not against Aguda, right? Mm-hmm. He was part of Aguda, but he was against founding this organization.
Which organization? Aguda?
No, there was another organization that they were planning on founding. I think the Chazon Ish wrote him a letter about it, and he answered him. So I don't know what it's called and what it was for, but the point is he's saying some words that you could apply equally to the Aguda. That's the irony of it. Reb Chaim Ozer was in the Aguda, and yet he wrote, from my experience, I learned that organizations like this don't really work.
And what about Chaim? He was against the Aguda.
He was against the Aguda, yeah.
Like, you remember I told you, so in Aktam, the Sefer Dach Chaim Rishon, the Aguda is pushed to left up there, like a Chazam mixed with
yeah. There's a whole sefer about the Minchas Elazar's opposition to Aguda. Tikkun Olam. Yeah.
And even the Belzer was also against Aguda, no?
Yeah.
The old Sefadov.
Yeah. And you have the exact description that Reb Chaim Ozer gives, that applies to Aguda too. I don't want to say too much about the way it works, but this is the way it works. So I just want to show you what's interesting is,
which sefer is this?
This is the sefer Toiris v'Uvdus mibeis Rabbeinu.
The Brisker.
No, it's about the Satmar Rebbe.
Oh.
And it's written by Reb Yoel Segel Weiss.
The Brisker has a similar title, no?
Nesivos Rabbeinu.
Oh.
That's what you're thinking of. So this is Toiris v'Uvdus mibeis Rabbeinu about the Satmar Rebbe. And he has Divrei Torah on the Parsha and stories. And here's the story. He has the end of Parsha Shoftim. And this is really negate to what we just learned.
It's Uvdus Van Hagos, maybe.
Yeah. So, yeah, Uvdus Van Hagos the base brisk, is the brisker. So, he says, Harav Agoin Reborch Kaplan Zal, Menal Beis Yakov de America, Biyachad Im, Harav Agoin Reb Yakov Kamenetsky Zal, Rosh Mesiv to the Yeshiva Torah Vadas, Ba'u Levakir Es Rebbeinu. Okay, so Rebbe often talked to the other Gedolim, to the Aguda Gedolim, people who were in the Aguda, people who were in Williamsburg. Reb Yaakov Kamenetsky was right near the Rebbe. He was in Torah Vadas over there, right? Mm-hmm. And Baruch Kaplan also came in to speak to the Rebbe about many things.
Baruch Kaplan from the Chevron massacre. Right?
Yeah. So he was the head of Beis Yaakov. In fact, the Rebbe used to send people to him before he opened Beis Rachel. In the early 50s, when his Talmidim came to America and they didn't have a place to send their girls, he would say, send to Beis Yaakov. Even though Beis Yaakov was bad, according to the Rebbe, because it taught, Chumash, Rashi, and whatever, but he said, in Lysa, there's no other school right now. So you got to send.
I know his son, Baruch Kaplan, in Bar Park.
Yeah, he still runs the Beis Yaakov in Bar Park, yeah.
His son, he was a bookbinder.
Yaakov Kaplan.
Mordechai.
Oh, Mordechai? Okay. Anyway, listen. So they came.
I spoke to him. He said he was 100% for necessary.
They came to the Satmar Rebbe, and Uvetoich Advarim, in the midst of the conversation, Shal Rabbeinu, he asked them, Hayitachin sheharabanim da Agudas Yisrael da America hichrizu shekol echad mechuyev la'alois la'adaber Yisrael me'ayim lehem psak halacha zu. he said, how could the Rabbanim of Aguda Yisrael of America? So this is slightly different, right? Here we said the kamenetsky in Eretz Yisrael, 1954, said to go to Eretz Yisrael. Here he's talking about the Aguda Yisrael of America, and these Rabbanim must have announced to go to Eretz Yisrael. So he said, how did you get that? So the Ana Harav Goin Rabbi Yakov Zal Shehuloi Nasin Chasimase Al Psak Zeh. Rabbi Yakov said, I didn't sign this. Aval Manhigei HaAguda He Michrizu Psak Zeh. It's only the leaders of the Aguda, the lay leaders. They're the ones who wrote it. I didn't write it. Okay. So now comes the Rebbe's word. Amar Lahem Rabbeinu the mitzvahs the Matzinu b'Parshas Egla Rufa the Anu v'Amru Yadeinu Lo Yishafchu Es Adam Hazeh Ve'Einenu Lo Yira'u. That the Belzer has to say, we didn't spill this blood, and we did not see. So we didn't kill. They have a dead body. They don't know who killed it. So they have to say, we didn't kill him, and we didn't see. What does it mean we didn't see? The vidui means we're washing our hands. We're clean. We didn't kill him. We don't know who killed him. But what's a nenu loy ra'u? Our eyes didn't see. What does that mean? And even if they would have seen who killed him, what does that have to do with it? They're still not guilty. He says that is part of the vidui that they're saying about themselves. They're admitting that they did something wrong. Why? Einenu we find sometimes means the leaders. In Parshas Vayikra. They bring a par helam davar. The eyes of the Ada are the leaders of the Ada. Hamanhigim asu atzmam ki'ilu einam roim. So the taich is einenu loy ra'u. Our leaders did not see. What does it mean they did not see? They made themselves as if they did not see. Me'anas atachasideim ume'anasim chasim shmam, and what was done with their signatures. So he says that's what it means. We didn't kill this person, but we're still guilty because we didn't see what was done with our signature. So maybe something was done in our name or using our authority, and it's our fault indirectly. So he's saying, you, Rabbi Yakov, even though you claim that and you say that you didn't sign it, but if you're part of Aguda, and you're one of their gedolim, you're on the muetzes, and they write something, you're responsible for that too. Mm-hmm. That was the Rebbe's claim on Rabbi Yakov. Rabbi Yakov didn't take this as an insult. He was very respectful of the Rebbe. And look at the next paragraph. Rabbeinu nasan lo yaz matana sifra vayol Moshe. He gave Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky a copy of Vayol Moshe. Sheyatza le'or olam, was just out that year. I guess it was 59. Uliachar zman kesheshuv bo lebeis Rabbeinu, when the two Rabbanim, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky and Rabbi Kaplan, came back to visit the Rebbe. He said, what do you think about what I wrote in my sefer? So on Rabbi Yaakov Zal, I can tell you one thing. He says, the masha kvoida kosta b'akdama v'im ya'ale b'yadi she'ezke l'hoitzi mi'amavucha b'deya hara kazois af echad mi'Yisrael hakol kadai. He says, what the Rebbe writes in the Akdama, that if I succeed with Vayol Moshe in saving one yid from the confusion of Zionism, it's all worth it to write the Sefer. So he says, Gam ani k'tzas b'chlal zeh. He says, I'm also included a little bit in this too. I also learned something from Vayol Moshe.
And you write in a book...
So just in conclusion, from this siman, Kuf Mem, we see the Rebbe had three tainas on the Aguda. One was that the Gzeiras Galus means that there have to be Jews in Chutz La'aretz, and roiv of them, roiv Jews have to be in Chutz La'aretz. He didn't say that here, but we're going to see soon where he says that. Secondly, his taina is that you're going to make people come even though they're not keeping mitzvahs atzluis ba'aretz. And the third is that even if they are from, when they come, but the Zionists are going to do their job on them, shmad them up. So that's his three kashas on the Aguda.
Even last week.
Yeah. So again, the taina of the pokeach ivrim is that they're only calling for frum Jews to come to Eretz Yisrael. So that takes care of the Gzeiras Galus problem. It also takes care of the fact that Friar people are going to come. The last one, he's not really finding a problem with. He doesn't even quote it, but Ma'aseh, the Rebbe does say, he does quote it. Last line of the first few lines of the Dugma Daled, he says, "V'gam ma'avirim oisam me'adas." So ma'avirim oisam me'adas is l'chayra a stark taina that the Rebbe has, and the pokeach ivrim has no answer to that one. But as far as the first two tainas, let's look at another Maramokum. Turn to Yishuv Eretz Yisrael Kuf Yud Daled. Simon Kuf Yud Daled. And we're going to get like the aside of how the Rebbe looked at Gzeres HaGalus. So Kuf Yud Daled Aval Kasha. Ha'ech Savri HaRamban V'siyasai Sheyesh Mitzvah B'Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. The Ramban in his Sefer Mitzvahs comments on the Rambam Sefer Mitzvahs. He says there's a mitzvah B'Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. So how could the Ramban say that? Af Bizman HaGalus. And the Ramban says clearly that it applies even during Galus. Kiven shehu gzeira min hashamayim liyos mefuzarim beino amim. He says it's a gzeira from Hashem that we should be scattered among the countries of the world. Ha'ech efshar she'yeh mitzvah behepech leishev be'eretz Yisrael. So how could there be a mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael? Ule'el kasavti l'taretz sheyesh chiluk bein aliyah b'choyma uvein aliyah b'yachid. K'moy shehu b'divrei arivash v'rashbash. So this is in Yishuv Eretz Yisrael Simon Beis. The Rebbe said that or Simon Beis or Simon Gimel. He said, actually Simon Gimel. He says even though there's an Isser of Aliyah B'Choyma, and the Ramban says that there's a mitzvah to go to Eretz Yisrael, it's not a contradiction, because he brings down from the Rivash and the Rashbash. The Rashbash is a 6th generation descendant of the Ramban, and he says he holds like the Ramban, he holds as a mitzvah, and yet he says that for a Yachid, you should go if you're able to, but it's not a mitzvah on the whole Klal Yisrael. Same thing the Rivash. V'chein hu b'gemara b'divrei Reb Zeira. Reb Zeira himself makes this distinction, because you see, Rabbi Yehuda said that Reb Zeira shouldn't go there to Yisrael. That's how the whole sugi starts, right? In Ksubas Daf Kuf Yud. It says Reb Zeira was avoiding meeting his Rebbe, Rabbi Yehuda, because he was afraid he's going to go there to Yisrael and Rabbi Yehuda is going to be angry at him. Because Rabbi Yehuda holds even a Yachid can't go there to Yisrael. Reb Zeira said that a Yachid could go, but the Rabbim can't go. So really there's no stira here. The Ramban is saying a Yachid could go, Kol Yachid v'Yachid being Yisrael, right? Could go, but not the Rabbim. So there's no problem with Aliyah B'Choyma, right? The problem is the Gzeres HaGalus. He says like this: that's a good answer from the Isser of the Aliyah B'Choyma. The F Shaloimar, we can answer the V'Yachid Yesh Mitzvah. By a single individual Jew, there's a mitzvah. But by the Rabbim, there's an Aved.
The whole movement.
The whole movement, right. But here's the problem with the Ramban. Since we know the Gzeira Lamaisa is that we should live in Galus. Chazal say many reasons for this. That the promise of the Torah that in Galus Hashem's not going to leave us is only if we're in the land of the enemies. This doesn't answer up the question. Even if you're going to say that Ramban only means that single individuals should go. Even if they're going to go singly, individually. It's not the shvu of Shali B'Choyma. Since L'maisa the result is that they're not in Chutz La'aretz, Mefuzer Ben Kol Umais, they're not scattered. That's going to be against the shvuah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shiyu Mefuzarim B'Chol Ruchos Ha'olam. V'chazinan Di'af Achar B'Yas HaMashiach. We see that this has nothing to do. This is another proof that this has nothing to do with the Shalosh Shvuos, because after B'Yas HaMashiach, when the Shalosh Shvuos don't apply anymore, Sha'az Einoid Shvuah Al Aliyah B'Choyma, Kamash Kasiv Ad Shetechbat. The Shvuah says until it's desired, until the time of Mashiach. V'zeu Zman Agula Yidei Melech HaMashiach, K'moy Shedarshu Chazal. Ve'elu Agimel Shvuos Ein HaMelech Shaloi Lidchay, Kulamayir Asois Kacha, Terem Zman Agula. The Shvuos only forbid doing it before the Gula. Af Rega Achas, even 1 second before the Gula. Aval Achar B'Yis HaMashiach, Shehu Zman HaKetz, V'yasu Yisrael Tshuva, Batlu Eila Shvuos. The Shvuos don't apply anymore. V'yafal Pichein, and still you see in the Medrash, that we still are going to be dealing with this problem of Yidden living in Galus. That the Klal Yisrael are going to say, how could we go back to Eretz Yisrael? We weren't in all the 70 nations. Mashiach is going to answer, yeah, you were, because like the pokeach ivrim already quoted, some of you went to this country, some of you went to that country, and that's called being Mekayim the Shvuah. But you see that it is required to still be in Galus. If not for that answer, they would have a problem, even after Mashiach comes. That's because of the reasons the Chazal say for Galus. So this is an important point. The Rebbe says, I only say the Gzeira is on Roiv. If you have mute Klal Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael, then you're okay. But Roiv is the problem. Roiv Yisrael have to be in Galus. Mm-hmm. So therefore, by having most of Klal Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz, you're yotzei with that. But if you're going to go like the Ramban and say every Jew has an obligation to go to Eretz Yisrael, ein maspik chiluk zeh. You can't just say you can't have Roiv, because how are you going to stop Roiv from coming? The ayeh shoikel, the ayeh soifer. Who's going to be the one who counts the number of Jews coming? L'chaven hamispar. Who's going to make the census? Like they do every couple of years, they come out with an Israeli census and an American census. The Pew report. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to come out saying how many Orthodox Jews are there in America and how many are in Eretz Yisrael. But who's going to really count and get down to the nitty gritty?
Pew Research Census.
That's what it's called, right? L'chaven hamisparshi muatim hema shama oisim mitzvah. That as long as you have a miyut of Klal Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael, they're doing a mitzvah ba'aliyah. V'im misrabim, but if they get past the point of Roiv, have aveira. Suddenly it changes from a mitzvah to an aveira. Shehu neged gzeirasei shal kodesh baruch hu. V'haloyim afim noisim rak biyachidus. Even if a few people come at a time, everybody separately, la'at mikomakum b'revois hashanim yesh mitziyah shiyu shama Roiv Yisrael. You're going to have a problem eventually. After many years, you're going to have Roiv Klal Yisrael. And the Rebbe is writing this in 1960, and think about it. Since then, 60 years have gone by. The time he wrote this, there were probably only like 2 or 3 million Jews in Eretz Yisrael, right? The most. And now, what do we have? What do we have there now? 7 million, right? Mm-hmm. Almost. So, and of them, how many are from? If he's considering only from people in the equation, that's still a lot. That's still about 1 million from Jews, right? So how many? We're holding pretty close to the point where we're going to tip the scales and we're going to have Roiv in Eretz Yisrael. So what do you do about that? So,
we have a lot of Russian goyim also.
Yeah, okay, it's true. But they count that in the census. They know how many people there are who are non-Jews and how many Jews. They keep track of that. So look at Kuf Tesvav. Skip ahead. Next Siman. He's going to say the teretz now.
But even when I read it, even when the German Jews went to Palestine in the 30s, a lot of them brought non-Jewish wives. Well, last year,
and they didn't check. They didn't keep track of that.
Yeah, and last year, there was actually.
Okay. Anyway, aval ho inyan hu. So he continues in Kuf Tesvav. The answers the question. Ho inyan hu dehinei bedor.
Aguda was Orthodox. This guy wasn't Orthodox.
Oh, okay. Aval ho inyan hu dehinei bedora midbar. Shahaya gzeira she shar.
Aguda died a long time ago.
Omar Akostuv alam apilim laalois lama zeh atem oivrim es pi Hashem. Af shayu tzadikim gedolim. So what he's doing here is he's going to contrast. In the time of the Mapilim, in the desert, when after the Aveira of the Meraglim, Hashem said they can't come to Eretz Yisrael, and the Mapilim, a few people went, and they went up to fight with the Canaanim, Amalekim, and they lost, and they got killed by them, right? So it says, Moshe Rabbeinu said, why are you transgressing the word of Hashem? Hashem said to stay in Golus, and you're going up. So there, what does it say? Even a few people weren't allowed to go up. Even those few mapilim weren't allowed. They were a great generation. The Gzeira of the 40 years in the desert was because they didn't want to go with the Meraglim. And the very next day they did tshuva. They said, here we are, we're going to go up. Because we sinned. V'alu b'mesiris nefesh mamish. They went into a dangerous situation of war. Sheyadu shehu amaleki v'aknani baderech. They knew that they were Amalekim there. Kamasha kasav v'chasam sofer shezeh hayetshuva b'mesiris nefesh mamish. They were actually going the exact opposite of what they were the day before. Right? Because before they were scared. They said, why should we go to Eretz Yisrael and get killed in war? And now they're saying the exact opposite. We have bitachon. We're going up to the place that Hashem said. And still, it didn't help to do this tshuva. That the reason why there was a gzeira of 40 years galus was because Hashem realized that was the best way. Right? And then even though they did tshuva, they still need the tikkun of the galus. Even though they did it for good reasons, they were transgressing Hashem. So therefore, if you want to compare their violation of the oaths to ours, you would say maybe in this galus also, Hashem wants us to be in exile. Maybe every single Jew who goes to Eretz Yisrael is going to be going against Hashem. She goes there, all goes. But he says that's not pshat. The loima miboy ladas Rambam b'sefer mitzvah kufnin gimel. So here he goes on a digression. He says, according to the Rambam, that you need Jews in Eretz Yisrael because you can't have Eretz Yisrael empty of Jews at any point in time because of the calendar. So he says, "Lo miboy ladas Rambam," the Jewish calendar. I'll just read it because why not? He says, "Lo miboy ladas Rambam b'sefer mitzvah kufnin gimel yeshech reach sheyiyeh lo olam b'Yisrael b'Eretz Yisrael." There have to be some Jews in Eretz Yisrael at all times. Avor kiddush hachodesh, because the calendar we have today is fixed. Mm-hmm. But it's only fixed based on that there are people in Eretz Yisrael who will keep it, and that will cause it to be chal. It's not chal if there's nobody in Eretz Yisrael. That's the Rambam Shita. If not for that, we wouldn't have any moedas. V'hu chas v'shalom mechias oises ha'uma. K'mash kasav sham. V'zel l'shanya. Ilu hinachnu derech mashal shebnei Eretz Yisrael yedaru Eretz Yisrael. If we would assume that for a moment there would be no Jews in Eretz Yisrael, chalila l'kel me'asois zois, ki hu hivtiach shelo yimache oises ha'uma mikol v'chol. That Hashem promised us that we won't stop having Yom Tovim. Even the Ramban, the Polygalzeh, he argues on the Rambam, and he holds that you don't have to have Jews in Eretz Yisrael. That whatever Hillel Anasi did lasts forever, and you don't need to have anybody in Eretz Yisrael actually keeping it. We know it's pashut that after the Churban there was no issur to live in Eretz Yisrael. Because we see many Tanoim lived there, right? See, the whole mission is full of Tanoim living in Eretz Yisrael. Gam achar churban, Gzeres HaGolus. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai bikesh al Yavne v'chachamecha she'isharu sham achar HaGolus v'chein achar kach me'al Amoraim. Even the Amoraim, Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish v'chol ha'doros hayu harbe oilim Eretz Yisrael. Many Jews came to Eretz Yisrael v'vadai she'ritzayin HaKadosh Baruch Hu shegam v'mei HaGolus. Af shenigzre gzeira al Roiv Yisrael she'mufuzarim b'dal ruchos hashamayim. So how do we explain this? Either as Gzeres HaGolus. He says, Gam Eretz Yisrael hu b'chlal dal ruchos hashamayim. That's the key line of this simon. That Eretz Yisrael is also part of Galus. Okay. V'tzarech she'iyu gam Eretz Yisrael oiv di Hashem yisborach m'kayim mitzvahs hatzvi yisbarach u'shari mitzvahs m'makam hakodesh. There have to be Jews in Eretz Yisrael. Ve'ein zed doimel gzeres doira midbar shalai gzeir b'feir she'yishar kulam b'midbar. It wasn't a gzeir on every single person. Ad toim kol ador. K'mevur b'kra. Gam acher amem shana mevur b'kra b'feir shalai yavoy l'Eretz Yisrael el kalev Yoshua v'apchusim miben chaf. That even after the 40 years are up, who's going to get to go in? These Jews are going to die. Only people are going to get to go in are Kalev and Yeshua, and anybody who is below 20 years old. Or people who are over 60 could also go. But Loi Zulas, nobody else. Moshe Rabbeinu said, don't go up. V'gam ki amapilim halchu b'derech aliyah b'choyma. But when there's a war, v'zeh b'vadei ozer, v'vadei hayu nikroim b'zeh ivrim es pi Hashem. Aval bizman ha'galus ho'achroin shahaya gzeir she'iyu Yisrael m'fuzarim b'chol medinos. V'gam Eretz Yisrael b'chol kol medinos. Eretz Yisrael is one of those countries. V'yev shalafarit mi v'mi yiyu ha'halchim Eretz Yisrael b'chol adoiris. You can't say who should go and who should not go. So how's the gzeir ha'galus miskayim? So he says, "Uval korchak shegzeres hagalus he kemoish das Rashi ve'Rambam b'siyasam hu b'inyan yishuv Eretz Yisrael." He says it's similar to what we said about Rashi and the Rambam. The Rashi and the Rambam hold that yishuv Eretz Yisrael is not a mitzvah. The rebbe said earlier in yishuv Eretz Yisrael, there's 4 shittas about yishuv Eretz Yisrael. One of them is Ramban, that there's a mitzvah. Second shitta is Rashi and the Rambam, that there is no mitzvah. Rashi on the Torah in Parshas Maseh, and the Rambam in saying for mitzvahs, it doesn't count it as a mitzvah. They hold there's no mitzvah. So if there's no mitzvah, what does it mean when the Torah says v'horashtem es haaretz v'shavtem ba and alei reish? What does that mean? So according to them, it means a havtacha. It means a promise that HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised that we'll have Eretz Yisrael. Not that He commanded us go to Eretz Yisrael. Okay, so. Same way, he wants to say about Gzeres HaGalus. Gzeres HaGalus is not a command. It doesn't say you must go there to Chutz La'aretz. It's a promise that there will be always the Roiv of Klal Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz. Okay, that's what he says. K'moish das Rashi v'Rambam siyasim hu b'inyan yishuv Eretz Yisrael sha'af shemavur b'kravi rishtem oisavi sha'avtem ba. Even though it says in the pasuk you shall live in it. V'oid kam b'kroi ke'en zeh gam yesh shvua on the sinas Eretz Yisrael. There's also a shvua that he promised it to us. K'amor asher nishpati la avoisam laseis lahem. Yikomakom savri the kozeh einoi mitzvah. They hold that's not called a mitzvah. Not called a commandment. Ki lo yiz tavinu al kacha. Ela hi havtacha me'Hashem yisbarach shekein yiyeh. B'vadai shnis yashiv kulon be'Eretz Yisrael bizman Aguda. That all the Jews will live in Eretz Yisrael. Both at the time of Yoshua and also at the time of the Gula. The Ramban machmes harayas sheyesh loy. The Ramban holds gam mikoyach svara polycostum v'soiver shu gam tzivui. He holds it's a commandment. So that's all about Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Avo b'gzeres hagalus. But in the time of exile, kuli alma moedu the af sheyesh kam akroy HaKadosh Baruch Hu gazer al zeh. Even though there's psukim that say HaKadosh Baruch Hu was gazer to scatter the Jews out around the world. It's only a promise. It's a gzeira min hashamayim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shebavada yiyakim. That's how it will be. Sheyu Yisrael mefurzer mefurad ben kol ha'amim ad zman hagula she's kabtzu Yisrael al yidei melech hamashiach. Ve'ein sivoy al Yisrael b'chaymer ister shvua el shlo yalu b'chaymer. The sivoy is just not to go up as a wall, as an organized group. But if you're going to go singly, like the Ramban says, that's not a commandment. The you can't say how many there should be. Who should go? It can't be a tzivui that you should be in Galus. You can't have a mitzvah on something or an isser on something that you can't decide on your own. You can't see with your human intellect. The Torah can't be dependent on prophecy. There's no commandment. So who's going to determine the Gzeres HaGalus? Hashem will determine it with his hashgacha. So now, back to the question with the Ramban. The Ramban says every Jew should come to Eretz Yisrael. So you're going to have a kasha. Oh, every Jew is going to listen to this Ramban. You're going to be mevatel Gzeres HaGalus. Teretz is no. You can't think such a thing. Even if they do come up, you're going to say after a long time you're going to have Roiv Yisrael or all of them. Zakter, no. The kivin that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gazer v'hivtiach shaloi yakain. HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised us that this won't happen. El yiyu mifuzarim b'chol ruchais ha'olam ad zman ha'geula. They'll be scattered around the world until the geula. Ein safek she's kaimu divrei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu will come true. V'lo yifchadu Yisrael gam achar ha'geula shim lo yiskaim adayin hashvu liyois bein kol ha'amim yafshut shati ha'geula. Therefore, they shouldn't be afraid when Mashiach does come that we didn't fulfill the Gzeres Agalos, K'mavur b'divrei Chazal, Shei Vesi. Avol Adayin Tzarech Lahavin, Lefi Zeh Das Rambam V'siyasa Sheyesh Mitzvah B'Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, Af B'Zman Agalos, V'kasav Shenis Chayiv Kol Echav Yechad. So he still has a kasha on the Rambam. What's the lashon of Chiv? Ha'ich Nuchal L'Chayiv B'Zman HaKadosh Baruch Hu Gaz Agalos. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu is being geyser and he's stopping you from doing it, how could you have a Chiv to do it? Anyway, but bottom line is, he's going to go on more about this, but the point I wanted to bring out is, he says clearly there's no new mitzvah of Gzeres Agalos. The pokeach ivrim falsely accused the rebbe. Go back to pokeach ivrim, look over here. He said, Oid banu bama la'atzmam. They built this bama, they built this like false religion. Last way, Isser Chadash L'Yisrael. Shasturim la'alois l'Eretz Yisrael Churban. Okay? And they said there's such a thing as Gzeres Agalos, you're not allowed to go there to Yisrael. That's not the Rebbe's position. He doesn't say it's also to go there to Yisrael. He says that Hashem will take care of it. He'll make sure that Roiv Klal Yisrael doesn't come to Eretz Yisrael. Okay? So then why was he so upset about the Aguda saying that everyone should come? Because the Aguda was saying to go against the Gzeres Agalos. As the Roiv, they were saying like everyone come. But if you say individually people should come, that's not a problem. Like if you give someone advice, if someone comes to a Rav and he asks him what he should do and he says go there to Israel, he's not violating the Gzeres Agalos. Because for that person in his situation, it's good for him to go. For another person, it might be different. But if you just make a blanket statement, everyone should come, that's what was making the Rebbe upset. Okay? And later on, by the way, in Vayol Moshe and in Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, he explains the Ramban Shita is that when there's such a thing as a mitzvah that's nidche, like when you have esei doich loy saseh, sometimes you could have the loy saseh is pushed away. So also you could have oisik b'mitzvah, pater in the mitzvah. You're doing one mitzvah, you don't do another mitzvah. So he compares it to that. He says the Ramban is saying because of the Gzeres Agalos, there is a problem. It's not completely enforced. This Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Either Ramban says it's a mitzvah. He means that if you do it, if you're there, you get a mitzvah. He doesn't mean to say that you have to get up and go. That's what he's going to say. So, bottom line is the people who are there are mekayim the mitzvah, and the people who are not there, for whatever reason, Hashem guided them with His hashgacha. They shouldn't go there. They're not getting the mitzvah, but not pshat that there's an isser to go there to Yisrael. So he didn't say what the pokeach ivrim accuses him of saying. He only said that it's that if you say everyone should go, then you're saying against the Gzeres Agalos. But if you just say that some people should go, then you're not doing anything wrong. So to sum it up, what did he say, and what do we answer? He's saying that the Rebbe holds the Gzeres Agalos and he's misusing it. He's not misusing it. He's just saying that if you tell everyone to go, it's a problem. Secondly, he says that the Aguda is only talking to frum people. Oh, so this is an important point. His taina is the Aguda is only talking to frum people. If the Rebbe agreed with that, then we would have to say that he holds that the count only depends on frum people, which is very negea. Because right now, I don't know how many frum Jews there are in Israel and in America and other countries, but if you count them up and you see, they're about equal. So we're almost ready to be over on this Roiv Klal Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael thing. Yeah, so we have to watch out. I mean, we don't have to watch out. Hashem has to watch out. In other words, the Rebbe said it's up to Hashem to make sure it doesn't happen. So he'll make sure somehow that, they'll open yeshivas in Chutz La'aretz, they'll open organizations to help Jews escape from Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah, so I was going to say that.
Yeah, so he'll make sure that something happens or there'll be a gzeira of the army, right? The gzeira on the chinuch, the yeshivas have to teach, they're already telling they're making them teach according to the way they want to teach. Bottom line is, there's gonna be ways.
But they're trying to do that here in New York too. Yeah.
Not as much, but not as much. Basically, there'll be some way that Hashem will get us out of this problem, so we don't have to worry about it.
Amen.
Yeah, and then on his time about the Shmad, the Rebbe said that they're going to put them in camps and make them Shmad. That he doesn't have an answer to. He doesn't even mention it. He does mention it, but he doesn't answer it. And the Tanya that they're from, he already said.
And Brisker Rav said that also.
That the people that the Aguda is talking to are only the from people, and
Brisker Rav said the same
agree with
thing.
that. Not sure if he agrees.
You know this.
Yeah, we'll stop here. Okay, hold on a second.